though Meghan Markle hasn't spoken to her estranged father Thomas Markle Sr. in years, he has contacted her to ask permission to see his grandkids. Thomas is quite eager to meet the grandkids. In a recent interview with Archie and Lilibet, Thomas even said that he could file a lawsuit against the couple to obtain the right to see them in California. The last time Thomas and Harry talked was while he was in the hospital before their 2018 wedding. Thomas, who has speech problems after having a stroke last year, said on Good Morning Britain that he hadn't seen Meghan and Harry in 5 years. He claimed that the main reason for this was because he still hadn't seen his grandchildren. "I'd want to meet them. I believe the monarch would also like to visit his grandkids." Of course, he's alluding to King Charles, who is also estranged from Meghan. "I'm quite unhappy as well because this is a horrible thing to do to a grandparent, not just to me but to the monarch of England as well," he said when asked whether he was devastated about the nature of his connection with his daughter. "Let's put the past in the past and let me see my grandchildren." King Charles and the late Queen don't get to visit those grandchildren, despite Thomas's pleadings. Actually, Doria is the only family member the kids are aware of. Simply said, it's really bizarre. Because he had been made to appear awful prior to Meghan and Harry's wedding, Meghan's father likewise referred to himself as a victim. He insists that he did nothing improper. If Meghan had her own money and was a billionaire before she wed Harry, why couldn't either of them purchase Thomas Markle a plane ticket before the wedding? He might have remained in Meghan's booked private room at Soho House before the engagement to meet Thomas and get to know Meghan's family. If not, the cot was inadequate, and they wished to stay away from the negative publicity. Harry had the gall to whine and ignore the fact that Thomas resided in Mexico and that Harry couldn't see him before the wedding. Thomas wished he could have taken a plane to England to see his daughter's prospective husbands. Harry has reportedly never talked to Thomas, which is a travesty. He didn't even have the courtesy to call Thomas before marrying his daughter. Thomas Jr. has just launched a webpage to raise money for Thomas Markle's medical expenses. This is the website's description line. "Several years ago, my father had 2 heart attacks, and in May 2022, he had a stroke that left him speech impaired. He is recovering well thanks to a stroke of luck, that was all. He continues to get better, and I take him to speech therapy and other appointments every week. I decided to establish this campaign for my father since he is a very proud man with an amazing life story and because he would never seek for assistance. My family and I would be deeply moved and honored if we could make my father's recuperation stress-free. In the meanwhile, thank you. My father has spent his whole life assisting those in need, including homeless people and children. One of Meghan's outfits can pay for a father's medical bills, but she refuses to do that. At the very least, Meghan should pay him back for his college education and all the money he loaned her over the years when she was just starting out in show business. That would be more than enough to pay for his medical bills. Meghan won nearly $300,000 worth of clothing and jewelry in 6 days at the Invictus Games.